time rather than behind for once. Quick update. Last night at our banquet, we presented a high tool award to Lee Knight. He was not present last night to receive that high tool award, but if you guys know Lee Knight, you know that he's been a member of the association for many years. He's helped with many raffles and auctions, and his talents have really helped a lot of people in the beekeeping industry. That's why we felt he was a good candidate for that. I will get that award out to him and get some pictures, and we'll post those on our webpage so everybody can see those. Voting for new board members, new presidents, that email has been sent out. So check your email. It'll be the email that you signed up for your membership on. It's pretty simple. You just click who you want. You can add comments if you want to. And then we'll have those results. What time do I have that down for?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. So we'll have those. We'll close that at 2 o'clock and have those statistics on who our new board members will be.
Question?
Yes.
So that's a little challenge electronically. It says to log in, I log in, I don't see anything about voting. I might just miss it.
You would have to go into your email.
Yeah.
There should be an email that's sent to you.
Yeah, log in, then go back to that email and open it up. If you don't log in
I log
and
in.
click on it, you get a 404 error message. But if you log in, then go to the email, it'll work.
And during our break, if you want to get with Blaine, he's happy to help you walk through it. And he says if we need to, he can ask you who you want and he can tell you and fix the numbers for you. Not, I shouldn't say fix, but update the numbers of where you want your vote to go.
So I wasn't here yesterday, it's online. Can I see the people who are running?
Okay, those who are running, we have Richard Homer as a upcoming president, and Michael Stevenson as a contender. You know, Michael's just leaving the president, outgoing president. Somebody thinks he should come in again. Maybe he didn't do it right the first time. He's the second round. Board members were Sade and who was the other one? Michael Rasmussen.
No, Mike is not. He's not here either.
One session and Mike Brown.
Glade looks like he's not here yet. He was. Oh, there he is. You're in a different seat. That's why I can't see you. Musical chairs. They'll be around. We can visit with them during the breaks and stuff like that as well. During our lunch break. So at this time, are there any club members that want to report on what their clubs have been doing this last year? Blaine?
I'm Blaine Nay. I run a 4-H beekeeping club in Cedar City. We have a yearly calendar, different events each month. We try and make a simple version of a master beekeeper program for the kids that after they've attended for a year and filled out the workbook, I interview them, and if I'm satisfied with their progress, I give them a certificate as an iron beekeeper. And it's a lot of fun. During the winter months, we do things indoors, talk about diseases and parasites, biology, assemble some woodenware. In the warm months around the backyard, getting up elbows in the bees.
Any other clubs here? I know there's several of you that are involved. I don't know, the club presidents, we have lost contact with some of those. If we could get those updated to our list so we can have them on our website to reach out to, that would be great. We got one back here. Come on up.
I work as a volunteer with the University of Utah.
Well, come up, you gotta be on the camera.
All right, I'll go camera. That's awesome.
Stand on the edge.
And there's an X for you. There you go.
All right. So I just recently volunteered to help out the University of Utah Student Beekeeping Association. So they meet monthly and have several hives in several places. They're advocates for beekeeping and a lot of different pieces of sustainability. And so anyway, that's a group that I'm just becoming associated with and aware of. So Jim Harris is my name. Let's talk and see what those students can learn from you. They have a great program. They've got the students come in the first year as freshmen oftentimes, and then they end up taking over running the program themselves. Just did a beehive check with them last Saturday, and the students were the ones doing everything. So it was awesome. Anyway, so a lot of interest there.
I'm the Davis County Beekeepers Association president. We meet once a month. We even, so this last year, we started meeting in person. And we kind of, every month kind of cover the stuff that's coming up the next month or so in beekeeping, and have different speakers come in and talk about the different techniques of beekeeping and accomplishing those goals. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do.
Anybody else from the club? Not sure what clubs are still out there. Utah County, I know they had a
Wasatch is not there, Wasatch.
Wasatch.
Yeah, we meet on the first Thursday of every month. It's still been on Zoom, but
Okay, still, Wasatch is still doing it through Zoom,
yeah.
first Thursday of every month. Cache County, is there anybody from up in Cache County area that's? Well. Okay, if there are any clubs out there, you know, if you can get your contact information to Blaine, where we can update that on our website. We do get quite a few phone calls for swarms, for questions, and we like to try to push those to those clubs, those areas. Because where I'm in St. George, it's hard for me to really tell somebody, how do you run bees in Wasatch County? I'm like, I don't really know, because I don't live in Wasatch County. Now, if they were in Washington County, that was something that I would feel and help them with. So, we had another little club that we want to bring up. Laurie Hurst from the Harvest Festival out in Grantsville. She's going to take a few minutes and explain what they're doing out there.
Good morning. I am Laurie Hurst from Clark Historic Farm out in Grantsville, and we are home of the Utah Honey Harvest Festival that we hold since 2013, every second weekend in October. So how many of you have been to the Honey Harvest Festival before? It is so much fun. We have local honey producers from all over the state of Utah who come. I would imagine that some of our Zoom people have been here, but it is a great festival that showcases you as our honey producers of the state. So it takes place at the J. Reuben Clark Historic Farm. And the Clark Historic Farm is in Grantsville, which is one of Utah's oldest pioneer towns. It was established in 1850. We are a nonprofit organization that runs it. We're all volunteers, and we decided when we started the Clark Farm that honey was something that we needed to represent because we are a beehive state, and the farm, as well as Utah, represents industry and the hard work that the farmers and the people who established Grantsville and the Clark Farm represent industry in itself. Our mission is to preserve, inspire, and educate and preserve. We think that includes not just the historic farms, but also preserving agriculture and this type of thing that we're involved in. So what is the Honey Harvest Festival? It's a celebration of everything Utah in one of our oldest pioneer towns. We lie at the base of the Deseret Peak, which is known to be interpreted as honeybee. So we felt like that would be a great fit. We celebrate local honey, beekeeping, pollinators, fiddle music, and family-friendly fun. And so pre-COVID events, we had over 13,000 people. We're building up to that again, hopefully. We have people coming from out of state to get local honey. That is their main reason for coming, is they want local honey. So at the Honey Harvest Festival, we have an international honey tasting. We've collected honey from all over. As I've traveled, I've brought honey back from different places in the world. We get to sample that, as well as we have a honey contest for local honey, local bees hives. We have vendors come from all over the place, and they vary from honey, obviously, but we have craft vendors and all kinds of homegrown and homemade food or items. We try to focus, we have commercial vendors as well, but we do try to focus on the homemade, the homegrown, and our honey vendors sell out almost every year. We have a limited number of honey vendors that we have brought in, but as we grow, we'll increase that number, just so that we don't filter out the prices. We want to make sure you get what your honey's worth. We have also education, where we have signage. We have Joey Caputo came last year and had a whole booth about teaching about beekeeping and problems that beekeepers might face. We have little workshops in front of the barn where people can come and sit and learn about beekeeping 101 type things, about problems, about getting started, about pollination, planting gardens. And we have this year a pollinator art show where we had designs that people made with only pollinated seeds from whatever. They were beautiful colored designs. It's quite fun. We also have the normal elements of a festival, a carnival, and as you can imagine, an old-fashioned type carnival. This is the epitome of it. It is wonderful. We have games for the kids and a petting zoo, pony wagon rides, face painting, storytelling museums. Our local museums are open for that time. And then we have the Sweet Fiddlin' Fest that goes along with it, that brings a lot of fun to it. Here's some pictures of the festival. Just a few things, some honey vendors and some of our education hands-on type things. Lots of things to do. And then, whoops, I went too far. So the best fiddlers from the state of Utah come to the Honey Harvest Festival to sing fiddle fest. Of course, it's got to be played the Orange Blossom Special at a Honey Harvest Festival, right? Okay, so I'm also here today to invite you to be part of this. We have created a festival here that's a lot of fun that we're getting a following for. But we want to continue to increase your presence there. So I would invite you to come and sell your honey or buy honey there at Utah Products. Come and teach a workshop. Come and teach people how to be a beekeeper on any scale. Teach people how to plant a pollinator-friendly garden. Do a demonstration with your honey. How do you tell quality honey? That's something that you can teach people. And I'm sure you have a million ideas that you could contribute. How about serve on the committee that helps create the Honey Harvest Festival? We would welcome you to do that. And one thing that we've talked about with some of the leaders is we would love to have an end of season gathering for you people who are into beekeeping, that you could share your problems and successes and maybe bring your honey and compare the different honey from different areas on a drought year versus a good year, and so on. So get involved. We invite you to come, at least come and have fun, but for sure, think of ways that you could help build this Honey Harvest Festival, because it's a showcase of you It's a showcase of beekeeping and honey, and we would love to help make it grow for you. So here's my contact information. You can find us online at Clark Historic Farm. Just Google it and you can find a way to contact us if you don't get this information. We do have a few brochure or handouts out there on the table if you'd like some, or else come and find me. I'll be sticking around for a few hours. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other clubs that want to talk about what the club's been doing? Okay, so we're just going to continue to follow our agenda. We will have a break around about 10:15. Just remind you that if you want to talk to any of those that are up for board member positions, talk to them during those breaks or at lunch. But when I was turning our time over to Heather Carter, I'll kind of let her introduce herself and what they're doing.
Something real quick here for my slides.
Want to come talk about yourself?
Good morning, I'm Velda Swanson.
X. My X behind you. There you go.
Good morning, I'm Veldon Sorensen from the Wasatch Beekeepers Association. We have a new president. I don't see her here today. They asked me to say just a few words. We, of course, like everyone else, were forced out of our regular monthly meetings. And so we moved to virtual. We tried several different things, Facebook, we've now moved to Zoom. That seems to be working very well. I think the thing that it changed us most of all is that rather than having having local people speak all the time, we're able to get individuals from universities. We had people from Bayer Crop Science speak, all about bee safety and so on. And I think the virtual has been very, very effective. We're looking forward to being back in actual meetings where we can do demonstrations. I think this year we're focusing more on mic control and looking at some of the opportunities that we have there. Any other? Okay. Sure. We don't know. We have a
place at Salt Lake City County building where we've been meeting for a long time. And they're the ones who say, no, you can't come. So as soon as the city county building says that they're available, we'll probably give that a try again. Some of us really like the virtual. You can go in your pajamas and you can watch it anytime. We record them so you can go back. That's the thing that we've noticed more than anything is that how many people go back and watch the old sessions. So we get a lot of play from those. So
How many members are there?
we have about 80 members right now. So yeah, it's a great association. If you're from Salt Lake, I'd really encourage you to join. We usually have Joey come early in the year to outline the process for the state. And then we get the messages from the state if there are issues. So
Okay, we figured it out. I brought my teenage daughter, so that is good because she is running all electronics for me. So I'm Heather Carter. I am from Nature Hills Farm in Cedar City, Utah. And today I'm going to share some stuff with you about an Adopt a Beehive program that we have put together and some of the stuff we do on social media and then just some of the other fun stuff that we do to help promote the honeybees and kind of the mission of Save the Bees. We have found that there are a lot of people that are really interested in the cause of Save the Bees. So we kind of take that angle a little bit with what we do. Now, I wasn't here all day yesterday, so I didn't quite get a feel for the crowd, but I did notice that there was a lot of very large producers of honey here from what I was hearing. And then I did hear that there was a few hobby farm, okay? So maybe I just would like to see how many are like really large producers here. Yeah, so quite a few. And then how many are hobby farmers? Oh, okay, good. So I feel like maybe what I'm presenting today is a little bit more for the hobby farmers than the big producers, but I feel like you could get a few things from this. We'll see. You can give me some feedback at the end. But what I wanted to start off with talking about is Nature Hills Farm and what we are and what we do. Here's kind of the things we're going to talk about today. So go to, and then just kind of show you, we're just going to show you some pictures of kind of who we are and what we do. So this is my family. My husband actually works in law enforcement and has worked in law enforcement for 20 years. So he is ready to retire. I tried to get him to retire and join me in this farm venture. So he actually switched departments and is now working for 4 years. So that's where we are with that. Okay. This is I teach a lot of classes. I teach cheese making classes. I teach sourdough bread classes. I teach a lot of classes. I do a retreat where we teach 8 different classes. So we kind of do farmsteading, homesteading type thing on our little farm. So this is my husband again. We grow year round in hoop houses. We sell at the farmer's market. Just some of the things that we grow here. We have a big hoop house that we grow like over 200 tomato plants every year. And we have lots of animals. So we have just some chickens, some turkeys, some cows. We do milk cows. So we milk a cow and make the cheese, and then we sell the cheese. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of where we started the business. And besides growing, we've always grown. I've grown since I was really young. But we started with cheese and taking that to the farmer's market and selling it there. And then we just kind of keep expanding from there. So right now we have a little farm store on our property that we put all our products in. So we make some jam. Go ahead, you just look at the animals here. These are some of our animals. They're not all very essential to the property. They more attract people to the farm. And so we do some events and different things there. But yeah, they're kind of rescue animals, I like to call them. They're animals that people have gotten and that they just can't take care of, like an emu, for instance. And so we ended up with them at our home. So just some photos here of some of the things that we produce for our farm store. This is our little farm store. And I don't have any photos of inside of it, but we try to sell all the products that we produce, including honey, in this farm store. So when we started, just stop right there. When we started doing this about 12 years ago, the idea was that we would take our products to the farmer's market. And so I'm actually heavily involved in our local farmer's market. I actually own the farmer's market, but I try to hire people to work for me and to be a committee so that it's not like I'm a vendor and the owner, even though that is what I am. But we have been trying to get this farmer's market to run on its own for 12 plus years. It is the first year-round farmer's market in Utah. So we do go all year. We take 2 weeks off in December and January, and that's it. Rain or snow or whatever, we're out there. And we've actually, it's grown considerably, where we were just a little, sometimes 4 vendors, now we're 30 vendors plus. So the city is actually getting more involved in it and wants to help us to continue to be successful, which is great. But that being involved in the farmer's market was an outlet for me as a producer to have a place to sell my products. So now I can sell my products at the farmer's market as well as at my home through our farm store, which is most farms are a little bit out of town. And so it's a little bit of a drive for people to get there. So having a farmer's market weekly has been a great place to sell our products. And we do more than just honey. We're very diversified, but we sell a lot of honey and more honey than I produce. So I actually supplement and get honey from other beekeepers here locally. So that's kind of how we do things. So we're involved there. These are just some of the things that we sell at the farmer's market. Okay, right there. And that's kind of Nature Hills Farm. We do events, Harvest Fest, a Christmas on the Farm, and a live nativity at the end of the year. Those are our kind of our big things that we do. Okay, so any questions so far? All right. We started this Adopt a Beehive program several years ago. I would say it's probably been about 8 years ago. And it's kind of gone up and down. Sometimes I promote it more than other times. And then sometimes people just seek it out and send me money. And I'm going to explain the whole thing. But the way that, the reason that I actually started this program is that I found that I had a lot of customers that really did want to support the cause of saving the bees and contributing to the bee population and saving that, okay? We started beekeeping, I would say 10 years ago, and we've gone up and down. We've had 2 hives, we've had 10 hives, and we do beekeeping for a couple reasons. Mostly it's kind of charity. I feel like we make no money doing beekeeping whatsoever, but we keep the bees alive. Oh, and I say that in jest as well, because majority of the time our bees die over the winter. And so we're this constant struggle of trying to keep bees alive in our area. And I work with a couple really good beekeepers. We have a beekeeper that comes to our farmer's market, and he helps me all the time. And he tells me, go do this right now, go do this right now. And so we really try hard to keep these bees alive, but they don't always stay alive. But they do help with pollination. They help pollinate our gardens, and we have several large garden spots that we grow in. And so that's mainly my reasons is to, I tell people all the time, I'm doing this just to keep the bees alive. So that's where Adopt a Beehive program came in, was that I felt like I was putting so much money into beekeeping and not really getting anything back out of it. But people really wanted to have something. They wanted to buy honey, they wanted to buy local honey, they wanted, and anytime we did produce honey, I mean, people loved it. It was so great, I take it out to the farmer's market and I'm like, this is like a $200 jar of honey that I'm selling to you for $8, But I mean, and that's how it started to be. So go to the first second. So I just put this together, and this is actually just this is from my website, and then I put together a little booklet, and basically what it is an education on the bees, kind of telling people, what to look for, and pictures of my kids beekeeping, and more education, and go to the next one. Okay, and then here we go. Here's a way to donate. So I put together this little thing where, and I've raised the price over the years. As it's gotten more expensive to beekeep, I've raised the price. And my daughter and I talking up here have decided this year some of the things that we're gonna revamp about this program. I've had a lot of people contact me that I don't even know, from like all over the United States, asking if they could be involved in this program. So initially, I was really marketing to local people, and that was my market through all social media platforms was local. And I have since then expanded, and now I market much more nationally. So, do I need to stand in a certain place? Okay. Oh. I'm right on it. Okay, good. Anyway, I've had people contact me now and say, and just purchase these adopted beehive for gifts, to give to people at Christmas time. And they're like, this would be a great gift for my mother who has everything, and they want me to mail this out. So this has changed my thinking on this, because the honey is heavy and hard to ship in jars, which I always do everything in jars, that we've kind of talked a little bit about how to change this prize, this reward that they get for supporting the bees, okay? So some of the things that we're gonna add is more merch, more hats, t-shirts. We do these t-shirts that people, I mean, I can't keep these in stock, and I have some pictures of them, and stickers, cute little bee stickers, some things that are easier to mail along with the honey, and package it a little bit different, so that it is more of a gift. So that's kind of our idea now as we shift, is that it's gonna be a cute little gift box that people can purchase for themselves or mail. I can mail directly to somebody who wants to buy it for a gift for someone. So we have several levels. And I do take pictures of the bees along the journey, and I send them out, or I put them on my Instagram and I tag people who have sponsored us. And then depending on how much honey they're getting, they can do different levels of sponsorship. And this level, I've kept the same, I've kept it at $250. And we just named them kind of trendy, tricky little, you get your worker bee, your drone bee, and then your queen bee, and they go up in price. So then, and education. I feel like educating people is key to getting them to purchase your product. Okay, so here's the queen bee. So now, I had this last year, I had somebody just out of the blue contact me. They actually live up here, and it was a credit union, and they wanted to purchase the queen bee for Earth Day for their employees to just so so that to contribute to the cause, basically. And then they named the bee, which was kind of fun. And they actually named her Queen Misbehaving. And so, it was a little, on the misbehaving, and it was really cute. So I'm actually delivering them their honey this weekend, instead of having to ship a gallon of honey to them, okay? So that's why we're kind of changing this slightly, but I can see a lot of you are like, oh yeah, that's a lot of money just to contribute. But I've had no issues getting people to do that. People are willing to do that. They want to be part of it, but they are not gonna go buy a beehive and raise bees. They can't put it in their backyard, but they want to be part of the solution. And so they feel like this is part of the solution. So we take this money and we put it towards mostly buying new bees, and upgrading equipment and all those things. So this is just a little program that I put together. Could it be better? Definitely. Do I promote it the way that I could? Not always. We do a lot of things. So I will go through trends in my marketing and social media where I'm promoting it often. And then other times people hear nothing from me. So we actually talked about, and I talked to my daughter about this, that I would like to kind of take this aspect of our farm business and make it its own little thing, its own Instagram page, and have her run it for me, and her do all of the shipping and stuff. I don't know if she's on board yet, but that's kind of what as my children get older, I try to give them part of the job duties, they don't always want to take them, but anyway, so any questions on this program that we've done?
Do you sell the same queen over and over again, or each queen is a separate?
So originally, we didn't sell the same queen over and over. And then I'd take a little nameplate and I'd put it on the hive and I would take pictures and I would send it to the people. But it doesn't matter. Like, you can sell the same queen over and over. Like, nobody knows and nobody cares, So now I do. Now I sell mostly worker bee. Mostly worker bees.
So I assume you probably use the same pictures.
Sometimes.
So somebody buys 3 gifts for 3 different family members, and they all get together and they compare the pictures, and they're all in the same hive and all the same.
Yes, so what I've done with pictures is, and sometimes we have professional photographers come out and take pictures. And so I try to use the really good pictures, and you can see some of these pictures are ones I took, they're the blurry ones. And then some are professional. So what I do is I just try to get a whole bunch of pictures when we're doing things. And I do take pictures several times during the year, doing different things. I will go out when we're feeding bees or when we're, adding bees, and I take lots of pictures whenever we're doing anything. And then I just get a whole bunch printed up at a time. And the actual pictures. And I brought some, I was gonna bring them in here, but we left them in the room. But, and then I just choose from those pictures when I'm sending them out. And I kind of put together a little packet. I put all this information in a packet and I send them that packet as well as a certificate of adoption and a thank you. And so I write them a thank you letter and send them like a thank you card and a certificate of adoption with pictures. So, and I do personalize all those things. So I put their name on the certificate. I put their name in the thank you card, and say, this is what your adoption is going to do, So I do make it personal that way. But pictures, yeah, sometimes they're duplicates. But for the most part, I just have a whole bunch of pictures printed out. And this one goes to you, this one goes to you. Same thing. And then this is kind of like, this is on my website, like this is what your donation goes to. And then that's kind of a thank you that's on my website, but then I do write a thank you letter as well. Okay, so let's pause right there for a sec. All right, any other questions or ideas or feedback about the program?
As an association, how are we gonna manage our flooding and getting pictures to give us $500 donation? I think we're about to flip your market.
So I find that, and say your question one more time so I can.
I'm kind of trolling.
Okay.
It's like, I'm imagining the pros here going, wait, should I sell a jar of honey for $20 or should I get $500 for some photos?
Right, okay, so what her comment was for those on Zoom is that she was just kind of thinking out loud, you know, should we sell a jar of honey for $25 or should we just sell a Queen Bee membership for $500 and, you know, and that's a huge difference in price, and yes. So one of the reasons that I did this program too was education. And I wanted to talk about this a little more as we get into this, is one of the things that we have found has worked in our business is education. And that's why I volunteer to do speaking engagements, is because I feel like no matter who my crowd is, if I'm educating, those people want to buy something from me. They want to stop by my farm and see what we're doing. You know, and I have it set up so people can stop by my farm whenever they want. I have a map of the farm. I have like a trail that they can walk and tour the farm. And I have it set up so they can just donate a couple dollars for having a farm tour. So, but I get a lot of people, and the more that I expand my Instagram to go not so locally, they go to a lot of other places, like I have followers all over the place. Those people, when they're traveling, and Cedar City's right off I-15, they stop and see the farm. And so that's fun. And then they buy something from our farm store. So education has always been key for me. When you educate your customer, they buy from you. So part of this program was to educate people on some of the issues that we're having. It's funny because I told somebody I was coming to speak at this convention and they said, so what's going on with the bees? Are they still dying? You know, like they want to know, but they want to know, you know, if we're not telling them, they have no idea. We're just so bombarded with all this other news that we have to make it a point to say, if you're interested in the collapse of the bee colonies, here's some information. And so you have a great outlet to do that on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And it sounds complicated, but as long as you're just making a post every day, I would suggest, about what you're doing, even if you think nobody wants to do that, like how boring could this be? I'm just standing here in my bee suit again. People are interested, and if you add some facts in there, you add some this and that, and then you say, hey, I'm gonna be at the Salt Lake Farmers Market on Saturday selling my honey. You know, you're gonna start getting more people to buy that. And I know, you know, I don't know how much this will relate to the bigger producers, because I don't know who your clientele is. I mean, you sell directly to other people, I guess, that would sell your honey for you. I'm not quite sure how that works for you guys, but if we can take the industrialized part of everything out of farming and make it more personal, then we get more customers. And you definitely make more money when you sell directly to a consumer versus somebody else.
When you sell, when you give them the quart or 2 quarts or whatever it is, how do you give that? Is that in a glass jar or do you
Yes.
send them
Yeah.
ounces at a time?
So it depends. Right now I've been doing glass jars. So if I have a gallon, I actually, because this last group that bought from me was a large group of people, I'm actually doing those in 8 ounces, just so they can give it to all their employees. But I try to send it in the least amount of jars as I possibly can, just because we've had a jar shortage. But yeah, I just send it. That's why we're kind of revamping what we do as we get more people that want to purchase, because the last few jars that I sent went like Texas and New Mexico, and that's a little bit further of a distance. And I was concerned about the safety of the jar, and I wasn't really set up, you know, just like wrapping. And so their packaging wasn't super cute, which a lot of people really like that. I'm like, just throw it in a box and get it shipped out. But people love the pretty box and the ribbons and the opening it up, and there's a nice little postcard of a honeybee sitting on top saying thank you. That's what people are buying. So they're buying the packaging. Okay, okay, so here's my Instagram page, and it changes often, but what I wanted to show you is this here. I have a highlight on my Instagram. And I don't know how many people use Instagram for marketing in this room. Nobody. Nobody? Couple? Okay, so I originally started using Facebook for marketing and then switched, and I do both, but I sell more things from Instagram than I do from Facebook. My Instagram following is 3 times as much as my Facebook following now. And it's almost become what Facebook used to be. It's changed a lot. It used to be a platform where you just posted pictures and people looked at it. Now it's changed so much that this is where you need to be selling your products if you want to sell to your local customers or mailing it. And I try to post every day. Right now I'm posting a lot of stuff about gardening because that's kind of the stuff we're moving into. But you keep these highlights at the bottom, and so anytime you post anything about bees, you put it in the highlights, and then you get a new follower, and they can go back and look at these highlights and review everything that you've posted over, all of this time. So that's where I keep a lot of my stuff, is in these highlights. Can I go to the next slide? So here's a section of my feed where I was really promoting bees and the Adopt a Beehive program. And you can see these are all individual posts that I made about the bees. And that's why we've kind of talked about pulling the art of beekeeping off of Nature Hills Farm and making it its own platform, so that we can just post every day specifically about bees and not put all of this other stuff in there. Some people follow just because they like to watch what we're doing every day. But what you find with Instagram now is that people follow specifics. Some people want to follow a channel that is all about sourdough bread. Some people want to follow all about cheese making. Some people want to follow all about beekeeping. And somebody like me who does all of those things, I have a hard time keeping all of those people happy on Instagram because I'm doing so many diverse things. So, and that's not, your major goal is to, keep everybody happy. You just want to keep the people that are going to buy from you happy. And so that's why we're always changing and trying to figure that out. But those are things that we do, and videos I put on their YouTube. People love, anytime we post a video about us working with the bees, people love it. I mean, we get so many comments and questions and, activity from people because they love watching us pull out and see the comb and, look at the bees, and they love that. So even if you think that it's boring and that nobody's going to want to see that because it's what you do every single day, they don't think it's boring at all. So those are just some suggestions about how to market more on social media. And we just barely covered the tip of the iceberg on there, but those are great outlets to sell your product. Any questions on any of that?
You post like on Instagram, Facebook, are they connected to each other so you make one post?
Yes.
Two different platforms connected so you're making one post.
Yeah. So the question was, when you post on Instagram and Facebook, do you have them connected so you post the same thing on both platforms? And yes, I do. I know some of the experts will recommend that you don't do that you change them per platform, but I don't have time for that. So I try to create one piece of content that I can use on all of the platforms. And that's the key to being successful on social media. So create a video of you out working on your hives. And then you take some still shots at the same time. So you take that video, you post it on YouTube, and you put some, feedback on there, and then you take those still shots and you put them on your Instagram and your Facebook, and then you take, maybe some clips from the video and make them shorter and make reels out of them. And so you're just creating one piece of content and making it into a whole bunch. And that's how you are successful and save time. Because what we find is that we're busy working. We don't have time to do a whole nother job of marketing our business. and that's all the time we find that, like, it's a full-time job to run a farm and to do all of these things and then show up at the farmer's market on Saturday. And it's also a full-time job. People get paid full-time job to run and social media, to run an Instagram account, to run a Facebook account, to run a YouTube account. Then there's LinkedIn and there's Pinterest and there's all these formats that you can put your stuff on to get customers. And that is literally a full-time job. So we have to try to find ways that we can balance that, because most of the time we're too busy, especially during the summer. We're too busy to post. So during the winter, I have all these great ideas of how I'm gonna keep everybody informed about what we're doing. And then come summer, it's like, here's a picture of a tomato, I'm in the greenhouse, and that happens. I mean, that's farm life, right? So, go ahead.
How many donations did you receive last year?
So the question is, how many donations did I receive the last year? I think that we received 8 donations. Some of those were queen bee, most of those were worker bee. And I wasn't even promoting it, is the thing. Like somehow they came across my website and found those outlets to donate. It was just kind of lost in the, in my website life there. And it was there and like available, but I wasn't promoting it. So I feel like with someone promoting it all the time, they'll have a lot of success. That's why I'm trying to get my daughter to do it herself. So, okay, let's see what it says. Okay, some other ideas. Other ideas of just things that we've done, and these are just things that we've done on the farm that go good with what, our farm life, but also to help promote this cause. We've had a Save the Bees dinner, and here's some photos from that. We have this old international truck that we take to the farmer's market, and we actually set up on this truck every week, and then people identify us with that. We keep all of our tables and everything in the back. It sits out there at the farmer's market all week, and then we set up on it. So we brought this back to the farm for this dinner, and it was a big just centerpiece for what we were doing. Okay. So we have some of our honey, and then this was a lot of just merchandise that we gave away because it was a fundraiser dinner. We gave away some gift baskets and stuff for a raffle. We had live music, and we actually hired somebody to put this dinner. I'll do all the decorating part for this dinner, and I did the food for the dinner. They did the decorations, and that worked out really well. Because she could think of all of these little details, like earn your stripes, save the bees. And she spent a lot of time just doing details for the dinner that were really fun for people. We did have a bar, and all of the drinks were specific for, bees, along that line. So there's some of the shirts that we have. This shirt, go to the next one. This shirt right here, the yellow, people love it. I can't keep it in stock. In fact, I need to order more. I have people asking all the time for me to ship it to them. We were doing a lot of shipping for a while, and then this summer I got COVID in August. Knocked me for a loop, ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I'm still recovering. I'm a long hauler. So all of those plans that we had to do, some of these things have been put on hold. But I bring that up because another one of our beekeepers in Cedar City also got COVID right about the time I did, a little bit earlier than I did. And he's had a lot of, he's also a long hauler. He's still on oxygen. He's just started coming back to our farmer's market. But this has really affected his business and his livelihood. And he has had to think about now ways to still do his work. And unless you're in, you've had a serious illness or something, it's kind of hard to explain. But for me also, I've been mostly out of work for 6 months. I've been trying to do a lot of more stuff online. So thinking about a way to still promote your business and to make it work, if for some reason you weren't able to work for several months, is something that I would encourage you to do. He's going into his busy season. He moves bees a lot and he's struggling. His kids are helping, but they also have jobs and lives, and he's done it all for all of these years. And so he's not quite sure what to do. And he is still coming out to our farmers market and selling his honey. And he sells all of his honey through farmers markets and does really well with that. And I'm not sure, I mean, maybe Blaine knows how many hives Bill has, but it seems like
It's about 30, I think.
30 hives or so. And that's his main way of selling his honey is through the farmer's market. So sometimes we get hit with unexpected things, and so having an ability to sell your products online or another way to support your business when things, uncontrollable things happen is a great thing to have, a great plan to have. Okay, another thing that we do is I have put together, so since we made this Save the Bees Adopt a Hive program, I've taken a lot of information from that program and I've made like a workbook for kids. And it's kind of like a homeschooling module. I put that for sale in my farm store. And these are just some pages from it, like just kind of more education, and it's fun for kids. It's like a $5 book. It's in the farm store and they can take it home. It has little, here, a duplication of content here again, but it has some fun things for them to do to learn about bees. And I started doing that, just see that. I started doing that with birds at first because I had all these bird houses that I wanted to sell. And I'm like, okay, I want to put some fun information about birds together to sell with these bird houses in the farm store. So when kids come out and do the tour, they want to buy these things. And so then I did it, go back to the video. So then I did it with bees as well. So this was a commercial for our Save the Bees dinner that someone came and put together for me. So we made t-shirts and we had honey for sale and we, did all of these things at the dinner. And it was fun, it was successful. I did it one year and every year since then everybody asks me if I'm gonna do it again. And I always think that I am, but it's always right at when I'm so busy doing everything else that I just don't do it. So, but yeah, that was just a little commercial that someone came. And photographers are so willing, not all photographers, but maybe really good photographers that aren't super busy are willing to come out and take pictures and help you promote your product if they get to promote you as well. So that's kind of fun. So this was a t-shirt design that we had, we had in some tank tops and some t-shirts, and it sold really well. We don't even have any more of those. So what's next? Okay, so final thoughts, and I think this is about how much longer do I have? Am I supposed to be stopping soon? Okay. Okay, so some of the thoughts that I had, and I mentioned this earlier, is if you can if you can really connect with your consumer, you're going to sell more products. We've just found that in our experience. If we get people to come out to the farm and see what we're doing, then we sell more products. We started doing our Harvest Fest with that in mind, where people come out and they can buy pumpkins and we do an apple cider demonstration, and we have some kids games and those kind of things. And the first couple of years we didn't make money off the event, and we do live on 5 acres in a residential agriculture area, which none of our neighbors like agriculture. They like to buy horses and have them sit in their yard and never ride them. But they like to complain about what we do all the time. So we try to be really careful with what we do as far as having people on our property, and they hate it. We get approval from the city, or we're in the county, so we get, a county approval and everything to have these events. And they draw a lot of people, and especially during COVID, they drew a lot more people because nobody had anything to do. And we were an outside event on a farm, and we were residential, so we could still have our events. And we drew lots of people. And those people go into our farm store and buy our product. And so that's why we do events, and that's why we show up to the farmer's market every week, is because if we didn't, we would sell nothing. Because we are constantly putting ourselves in front of people saying, this is what we do, buy our product. And that's how we get sales. Even when I was sick and I missed about 4 months of the farmer's market and my kids went, people forgot about me. I've been doing this for 12 years. It's like, oh, you've been gone. We haven't seen you. It's just like, if you're not constantly there and in people's face, they just forget about you so easily. We've had this year-round farmer's market for 12 years, and I still have people in Cedar City that have known me. I mean, I've lived there for 30 years. They've known me forever, and they say, wait, you guys have a farmer's market in Cedar City? And I'm like, yep, that's what I've been doing as a full-time job for the last 12 years, And so you really have to get out there and constantly make connections with your consumer. And try to take as much of the industrial part of it out and make it, you still want to educate them on that process, but make it more personal for them. Make it be more about their, how they can help you move your product forward. If they feel like they can be involved in helping, even with the donation, I have an aunt every year, she gives me a couple $100 and says, this is for the bees. I just want this to go to the bees. And so I say, okay, I'll buy you a box of bees and put it in a hive, just somehow get them involved so they feel like they're contributing to helping save the bees from their couch. And education, we talked about that. So that's my presentation, and if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
I actually have two questions.
Okay.
First one is, do you go through the state certification of the cottage industries inspections for your operation, or is that required for your farmers market? And then the second question is on mailing honey and the laws about that, especially when it's mailing out of state.
Okay, two questions. First question was about the certifications that I have to have through the state. And for the farmer's market, I'm assuming is specifically for honey or for all that I'm doing, specifically for honey. And then the second question about mailing honey out of state. So first question, cottage license is required for bottling honey in the state of Utah, but we also have a new law that's HB 181 that is means that you can do things in your home as long as you label the product home produced and not need any licensing. So to sell at our farmers market, we are a non-regulated farmers market. We fall under the HB 181 law. You do not have to have any permits to sell. That's the law, that's how it falls. We choose to be unregulated, and we post a sign that says all products in this market sold are produced by the consumer as unregulated. We still get an inspector that comes out to make sure that we're unregulating correctly. So they're regulating our unregulation. Yeah, so we leave it to the consumer at the farmer's market to do their own due diligence. And as somebody who is making a product, you know that if you sell a consumer a bad product, they're not buying from you again. So we trust that our vendors are not gonna sell a bad product because this is their job. And we trust that the consumers are gonna do their due diligence to make sure the product meets their personal needs. So that's where we fall with that. Now, personally, I have a commercial kitchen. I don't do cottage license anymore just because my commercial kitchen supersedes that. And I do all my, everything I do under that commercial kitchen umbrella. So I offer that to my customers, that want to know that I have a commercial, a very nice commercial kitchen at my home that we work out of. But when I go to the farmer's market, I don't need it. My products are all unregulated. I've jumped a lot of hoops over the years to have all of the licensing. And this is by far the best and easiest way to go. So the second question about mailing, I will just plead ignorance on that law, if there is a law. Some of the things I am more on the ask forgiveness, not permission line of things, because I've dealt with so many inspectors over the years, and it may sound terrible, but I recommend when people come to me and say, what kind of licensing do I need? I just say, look up HB 181, read that law, and then do your thing until somebody tells you not to do your thing anymore. And that's where I stand on things. So. Okay, but I'm small. I'm a lot smaller. I'm on the radar for inspectors 100%. I'm up there, #1. And they've been inspecting me and been on my property and done all this for years. And I'm much smaller than some of your bigger businesses, and you probably have different regulations that you should meet, but.
Anybody know of any laws governing interstate commerce?
I have not heard of any.
I think the commercial kitchen thing makes it.
Yeah. There's some questions up here, okay. There are no rules about having animals around a commercial kitchen as long as those animals live outside. Okay, so you're not allowed to have small pets and cats and dogs inside of your commercial kitchen. That would just, that's probably only a problem if you're doing it at home. Most commercial kitchens wouldn't have an issue with that. Although a lot of pets are allowed in restaurants these days, so. Okay. The only thing that I can think about mailing, honey, is they do ask you at the post office if there's anything liquid in your packaging. So that might be a thing, although makeup is liquid. There's liquid, all sorts of liquid things that are mailed. So I just drop my stuff off at the post office. I try not to talk to the people. I try not to wait in line. I just print it off, send it out. Otherwise, I'm all day there. That is really one of the major reasons that I do not like shipping my products, is dealing with shipping. Like dealing with the post office or any of those agencies. They're just such a time waste. So. Any other questions?
How many acres do you have?
5 acres. So we're out on the east side of the freeway across from Enid, in that little residential area. The last true 5 acres that were sold in Cedar City, I think. So. Okay, if you don't have any other questions, then I will close, and thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take a 3-minute break, then we'll come back and listen to Sam Comfort.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
We gotta like press fix it.